I'm Reverend Peter Faraday. I'm the current minister at the Humboldt HUUF Fellowship, and happy to be so, and happy to welcome you, and grateful to have those of you with us who are here tonight to tell us about aspects of the fellowship, and we will take any questions from anyone who would like to ask them piece by piece. And I will just start with by saying that it's customary, if you're not familiar, in a Unitarian Universalist fellowships, to light a chalice. It's the sort of informal but formal crossover symbol. Actually, I guess it's formal because it's also the logo, in a sense, of the Unitarian Universalist Association, which is the National Association of Congregations based in Boston. And so we light it at the beginning of services and at other gatherings. So if you can see behind the blurred background, which sometimes wipes things out, that's a chalice, and I have an electric candle that I use. So I will offer the opening words, which we have two hymnals that we use. One of them is an slightly older one, and thicker one. And it has a number of readings and snippets of scripture and poetry and philosophy and other things in the back of it. And it was an eye-opener to me when I went to my first Unitarian Universalist service years ago. I was like, wow, these are such great readings, and some of them I had encountered before. It was wonderful to find them compiled in this hymnal. So this is number 442. I've actually adapted it and shortened it some, but it's by Richard S. Gilbert. It's called "We Bid You Welcome." We bid you welcome, who come with weary spirit seeking rest. We bid you welcome, who come with hope in your heart. We bid you welcome, who come to probe and explore. We bid you welcome, who have found here room for your spirit. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome. And I will light the flame in that spirit. And I'd like to introduce the HUUF's, we call it the Humboldt HUUF Fellowship HUUF, and I'd like to introduce our Director of Lifespan and Religious Exploration, and that's Amy Day. And before I hand it to Amy, I just want to say that might be a mouthful of a title, but it's there for a reason. Lifespan meaning, children all the way through adult religious exploration, and really to emphasize the exploration part of that, which is that so many religions have a very strict one-sided view of reality and of their belief system. And it often borders on religious indoctrination, and Unitarian Universalism is very much not about that, but about explorations and questioning and thinking together through some interesting subjects and topics and important matters of life. So take it away, Amy.
Thanks, Peter. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be with you tonight. I've been with this fellowship now for almost 3 years. And during that time, one thing that I've been impressed by is just I kind of envision our fellowship like a tree, right? That has all these different branches. And no matter what branch really you want to land on, you're still an integral part of this fellowship, right? There's so many different places to get your spirit nourished, to feel like you are tapped into the trunk, right? The root of things. And we all find our places that nourish our spirits. And so tonight we have asked some of our leaders of different committees, different groups, who have found those different created some of those nourishing pockets for us to be fed in spirit and in community, to come and just share a little bit about the work that they do and how you can get a little bit closer and involved to that work. So first we have Sue Lee Mossman is with us tonight for climate action. She's waving there. Montana Cowett is here as one of he's a member of the board. He's also served on program and worship. He's done a lot of work on our playscape. He also has a young child in our RE program. Welcome, thank you. Elizabeth Harrington is with us to share a little bit about her work with the choir and the musical offerings that she brings us. And we have Lynn Dugas and Valerie Gazinski here to tell us a little bit more about the Ancient Forest Sangha and the work that they do. So thank you everyone for being here. And without further ado, I want to hand it to Elizabeth so we can find out a little bit more about the choir and what's going on with that right now. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. Actually, we have a fairly new member of the choir here with us tonight, and that is Rick, who's already been singing not just in the HUUF choir, but in several local groups. And he's been concertizing recently, and that's exciting. Yeah, so I have been attending UU services for, gosh, going on 22 years now. I'm originally from North Carolina, and I joined the congregation, the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Greensboro, North Carolina, actually with my mom back in 2000, right before I started my journey west, which took me first to Colorado for graduate school. And then I came to Humboldt to work at the university beginning in 2006. And I was so delighted when I arrived here to discover that there was, in fact, a thriving Unitarian Universalist congregation in Bayside. And it took me a couple years to get my feet underneath me. And then I inquired about music and in particular singing. And one of our longtime members, Bert Taylor is her name. Hopefully you'll meet her in the not too distant future. Reached out to me and said, "Hey, you want to start a choir?" And I was like, "Gosh, that really sounds fantastic," because that had always been a dream of mine. Once I got settled in my full-time job, to be able to lead a choir. And so in 2008, I put together a proposal to the then board and offered my services, and we struck an agreement. And since 2008, we've been going strong. Meeting typically 9 months out of the year, September through May, rehearsing as a group, and then sharing music for services and other related events at least twice a month. And then we do special things like service for Christmas Eve. Sometimes we visit people in our fellowship community who can't get out much. Maybe they're not mobile, and we sing songs for them. We typically have a music service every year. And then, for now and then we do special concerts and other events like that. So as of right now, we are rehearsing mostly outdoors. It's dependent on the weather, but of course we're all trying to figure things out as we navigate, through COVID. And singing is one of those things that has been really difficult during COVID because of the aerosols. But we didn't take much time off. I'll just share that. We came back strong in 2020. And so by August of 2020, we were already rehearsing with our special singing masks and have been going strong ever since. And we will actually be singing this Sunday for the service there. And also some of us will be sharing music at the dedication of the new playscape. So that's exciting. And my intention this summer, since we have had, some stop and go in the very recent months, just due to changing conditions, my intention is not to take a 3-month break from choir, but to continue rehearsing. So, we have a choir email list, and I keep in touch with interested singers through that list. We also have a Zoom every other Wednesday night. So not tonight, but next week. And we did one last week where the extended choir family gets together on Zoom, and we share personal stories. We do a check-in, and we keep the community going that way as well. It's just because, some of our choir members, when the pandemic began, they didn't feel comfortable returning to singing with us, but we've kept up with them, kind of our extended choir family, we call it. So, so we still are very active. And in terms of the music, we really do a variety of many things. We pull from our 2 hymnals. Peter read a reading from one of our hymnals. We also sing selections from that. We also do things from a group of songs called the Justice Choir Songbook, which is wonderful. We've done quite a few of those recently. And then when our numbers and kind of the music reading level of the group allows for this, we do things that are a bit more complex, choral works as well. I love to work on things that are in foreign language, because I think speaking another language or singing in another language really gives us a glimpse into other cultures and lets us just broaden our perspectives and our horizons. So I do that whenever possible. One of my favorite things to do with our group is to sing one of our kind of well-known and beloved hymns called Spirit of Life that is in our hymnal, and we sing that in Spanish sometimes, and that's really wonderful. But regardless of how often we actually perform for services, the main point is to come together as a community of people who enjoy singing together, being together, making music, raising a joyful noise together. So even when we're not able to participate in services, we still love to sing as a group and to just be connected and stay connected to each other. So I guess that's the main thing. I'm wondering, yeah, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but Rick has been in the choir for going on a year now. So I'm wondering if there's anything that you might want to add from your perspective as a newcomer before we pass it back to Amy and then the next person.
The screen says the host would like you to unmute. So I guess I'm supposed to sing now. So I don't have anything in particular to add, but I appreciate having been warmly welcomed in the choir. It's been a way to connect with some people. We came to this fellowship during the middle of everything being shut down. So this was a nice way to have a chance to connect with a small group and kind of get to know some people better.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I will just interject in here for a moment, and Rick. And I just wanted to say that in terms of format, we'll open up questions to anyone who has a question after each speaker. So kind of subject by subject. So no obligation, but Doug or Shelley, if you're here, if you have any question for Elizabeth or a comment, we'll just take 5 seconds and see if you'd like to jump in. And if not, Amy will move us on.
Just say too, even if there aren't folks here who are interested in joining the choir, please help us spread the word. You do not need to read music to join the choir, and we welcome new singers at any time.
I'm glad you clarified that. Yeah, because some choirs are audition based, and that is not the case here.
I was thinking too, from a neurological point of view, they say that singing and chanting are two of the things that one can do to activate the vagus nerve and to help regulate the nervous system, find that calm, regulate, dopamine. So it's happiness built for pure therapeutic reasons, singing. Thank you, Elizabeth. I go to Montana, and if he could just share a little bit about the work that he's been a part of at HUUF and just what keeps him going in all the different places that he's involved in.
The personal history with HUUF started probably in 2017, was coincided with the annual retreat, which I had to write down a note to myself, don't forget to push the retreat. It's one of the most wonderful events that takes place throughout the year. Just happened to be my first introduction to the fellowship. It's down on a river in the Matole Valley, and upwards of 60 people attended the one that I went to several years ago. And it was just a wonderful introduction to meet the minister at the time and the rest of the fellowship. I met Sue in the kitchen. And our family is small. We have one son, Jack, who's now 6. I think he was probably 2.5 or 3 at the time. And he's kind of grown up through the fellowship. Those of you who knew him when we first started, he was kind of a quiet, shy, withdrawn child. And now when he comes to the fellowship, we have to kind of hold him back a little bit because he really likes to get up front and be involved. So we've seen him develop, and that is in part to the RE program there. So we had the retreat, and then a few months later, I was asked to join a Halloween festival, and it brought out my inner theatrical experience that had been buried for many years, and I put together a skit with a friend and fellowship member at the time, and it went off quite well, although that night the power went out and it was quite windy we didn't know whether we could pull it off, but of course, in true HUUF style, we shined, and it was another wonderful thing. So since then, I've been asked to join the program and worship committee. I've put together several weekly services, and I would just like to say that my personal experience, I've been helped along the way with some of the members who have been in the membership for quite a long time. I would call them mentors, for lack of a better term. And they really took me under their wing, especially with the program and worship, which I thought I was way underqualified for, but really helped me out to put together some real quality services with the ministers and the people involved, with our pianist and Elizabeth and different portions. It really takes quite a lot to pull off one of those services. So since then, I've now become a board member, and other than being involved in a lot of long-winded meetings, it's really helped me again to step up to the plate, to really get more involved and find out more of the history of HUUF, and also Unitarian Universalism, which I will admit I'm fairly new to. I've been a member for 4 or 5 years, but prior to that, we were in Fresno, and we would just kind of sporadically attend the UU congregation in Fresno. So I didn't really have much history under my belt as far as the fellowship goes. My latest endeavor has been with the Playscape Committee and the RE Committee, putting together the playground, which I have to put in a plug for Sunday at 12:30. We will have our dedication. Those of you who are watching this recorded probably have missed that, but we will have our what's called the light opening on Sunday and unveil many of our different elements on the Playscape. And having looked through some old pictures just a few evenings ago when we first started the Playscape, and it was just a ground of dirt, it's really come a long way. So I encourage you to stop by and take a look at that. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm sure I'm leaving out many things. Amy has provided a lot of help for families and parents, especially. One of my favorite programs was called On the Porch, and during the pandemic, some of us got together once a month as parents just to kind of vent a little bit, I guess, as you will, and talk about our experience. And that really helped me through those times. So just little events like this that we're even having tonight are some things that the fellowship provides. So it's a great place for families, as we found. And I encourage people to check out the many events and things that are happening. So thanks. And if there's any questions, feel free to shout out.
Thank you, Montana. Awesome. So I apologize. I live just not fully the sticks, but sticks enough that my internet connection may waver here. So hopefully this is going to come through nice and clear and not too glitchy. I want to take a moment just to talk a little bit about kind of our lifespan program, and really what I have been tasked with, and really what my heart is to continue to offer and develop and work towards for the fellowship, is to just look for ways that people can feel nourished. We all know that the last 2 years have been incredibly difficult on so many levels. And we need ways to tend ourselves. We need ways to reconnect to our own hearts. We need ways to reconnect to one another. And so that really is the kind of the guiding impetus for every program, offering, on the porch, what have you, gathering we put into motion, is just how do we reconnect? How do we connect to our felt sense of the sacred, to our place inside of that, and to our felt and embodied connection to one another? So I actually wanted to take a moment I am a visual learner, so I always, it helps me to have something to look at. So I'm actually just going to share my screen here real quick and just show you some of the things that we have coming up that I'm just really, I'm proud of. Can you all see that? More or less, I'm just taking you into my inbox basically here. So we have been, sometimes it's just throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? Because we have lost some of those vital connections to one another over the last 2 years. So sometimes it's just, why don't we try this? Why don't we try this? And some things are tried and true. So this is kind of a combination of things we have coming up here right now. This Friday, the Climate Action Committee, which Sue will talk about it in a little bit, has been very, very instrumental in putting together an in-person screening for the Youth v. Gov documentary, talking about how teenagers and youth have become empowered to rise up and take on politicians and lawmakers to fight climate change. So we'll be hosting that at the fellowship this Friday, 7 to 9. There's pizza and lemonade and all sorts of goodies. So if you are connected to a teenager, please send them our way. We would love to have them be a part of this. As Montana mentioned, we are dedicating our playscape coming Sunday, which has been a project long in the making. This has been beautiful to watch to come together. When I first came into this role, it exists on a laminated sheet with some kind of abstract ideas. And, a couple of people had brought in, a stump here. They'd built a beautiful patio and that was about it. So it's been beautiful to watch that go from concept to full-fledged creation. Another thing that we are starting to offer this month of May is Magic Mondays. Our priority as we have gathered back in person has been to not so much think about, okay, we need to let children know about all these different religious lineages. We need to tell them about Buddhism. We need to tell them about Hinduism. We need to tell them about, that really doesn't feel like the priority at the present. At the present, it feels like children need to be nurtured. They need to be witnessed. They need to know that they are safe and held and welcome however they show up to this space. So we've really been prioritizing play-based exploration. So tons of crafts, tons of projects, tons of stuff working with your hands. We have 2 wonderful RE teachers, one who's an artist and really prioritizes child-led learning and exploration in the creative arts, Debbie Collish. So she'll be offering on Mondays from 3 to 5. For ages 5 to 12, we'll have Magic Mondays where you can drop in. Parents are welcome to come and just come and spend two hours being creative and just letting that part of you speak. And you can do this alongside your child too. So we're really excited to offer that. We also have I just want to give a plug for our other wonderful RE teacher, Jesselyn DeLucci, whose background is in children's mindfulness and yoga. And so she brings a lot of that play, heart-based, expressive wonderment into our classroom. And we've really, really been excited to rebuild that program with those 2 wonderful women. Coming up as well, we have what we're calling the Day of Peace. And this is, again, just kind of a recognition that this is a community-wide event on May 7th, Saturday from 2 to 5. And the invitation here is just to acknowledge how difficult the last 2 years have been. And we need a place, again, where we can come find a sense of peace and joy and replenishment in our bodies, minds, hearts, spirit. So we'll have guided meditation from members of the Ancient Forest Sangha. There'll be a puppet show. There'll be some movement. We'll have some art projects going on. A collective hope and grief ritual. So we invite, and we're trying to get a food truck there. We'll see if that manifests in time, because it's good to have tacos when you're enjoying all that other good stuff. And those are the things I wanted to highlight. Thank you for letting me do that. But I just wanted to say this is really this is our mission right now. We know people are in need of nourishment, that we know people are in need of tending. And so all the programs, whether they're a one-day gathering or something that we're building up for the long term, some kind of curriculum, are aimed at, I think when I first came to this, the fellowship, I remember the first service I went to, and it was our then board co-president, Bertie Wolty, and she's words, may your spirit find what it is seeking. And, they weren't an original thought by any means, but to me at that moment, I was like, oh, Yeah. So that's kind of the guiding impetus for everything we do. We want your spirit to find what it is seeking, and whatever that looks like, you're welcome. So you can always email me. I'll drop my email in the chat here if you'd like to know more about some of the things going on. And I am happy to hand it over to Sue Lee Mossman now to share a little bit about climate action.
Hi everyone. It's good to see you all. I have been, just a little bit of personal background. I've been with the fellowship for almost 50 years now, so I can't really believe it's been that long ago. I guess you're having a good time. Anyway, yeah. So almost 50 years ago, and since then I have been involved with the fellowship in various matters, various ways. I've been on the board in a couple of positions, secretary, and also as chair of the board, nominating committee. I'm just trying to remember right now. I didn't realize I should be doing this. Oh, I've been involved with the women's groups that started in the, I would say mid 70s, and we're going strong in the 80s, and we were connected to the Women in Religion group in the of the Pacific Central District, and we went on annual women's retreats and carried back here the information and the background we needed in order to do some rituals, some for the UU background as well. Well, I think that's enough. I can't remember everything. Yes, I have been involved ever since day one with the annual retreats too. So as Montana mentioned, every year we have this wonderful annual family retreat. I am in charge of the kitchen, but I do that for for selfish reasons. So, and I enjoy very much working with the families in the kitchen. So everyone is just so wonderfully cooperative and helpful and willing to put up with my idiosyncrasies. Okay, so back in 2018, there were a number of people who are asking about, who are starting to get concerned about climate change. I mean, we've been concerned about climate change for a long time, but you know, the concern was rising, and people have felt like, what can we do as individuals, and what can we do as a fellowship, and you know, so what we did was, well, actually, it was my husband Archie who had given a service presentation, a summer service presentation about climate change, and he urged everyone to get involved.
In the second, down by the cat food.
And he encouraged everyone to get involved, and said that, you know, we can figure out ways to work on climate change. And so we're, you know, a number of us came to that first meeting, and all of us had the same reasons for being there. I mean, we all knew the science, you know, we all knew that, most of us did. The information that says, you know, we're getting into a climate, back then, it was 3 years ago, we're getting into a climate crisis. We got to do something. But we're not there just for the science too. I mean, we're there because we're UUs, and because of our respect for the interconnectedness of all things. So the interconnectedness of all things and the moral duty, our moral duty is to protect this planet, protect this environment. And so we're here on behalf of the climate, but not only from the science point of view, but also from the moral and spiritual point of view. So we also are looking too that, we know that climate change affects our marginalized communities most dramatically. And so what we're trying to do also is to ally with our local, as much as we can, our local indigenous neighbors, and find ways that we can ally with them and take ethical actions that are consistent with our UU values. Anyway, so then I became, I guess, chair by default. And we've been pretty active. We started our first meetings at the end of summer of 2018, and each year, I don't want to take the time to go through everything that we've done over the years, but maybe if I just mention, like, just this year, just this 2021, fall 2021 into the spring of 2022, what we've been doing. So in fact, I had to sit down last night to kind of like remember what we've been doing. It's like, oh wow, I didn't realize we were doing this much. We started in the fall, the climate action of the month. So every month in the newsletter, you'll see a suggested action that we can take as individuals or as families that would reduce our carbon footprints. And each month there's a different activity that's suggested. And this coming month in May, the climate suggestion of the month is composting. And we also, what else we do in the fall? We got our banners made. We got our banner and rally signs, handheld rally signs that we could use at rallies. And so thanks to Elizabeth and her choirs who helped us raise some funds, we had the funds to have a large banner made, and this banner is held on the corner of 4th and V Street every Saturday morning, along with the BLM banner and fellowship banner. And we had our banners and our signs, of course, this month with all the activities of Earth Day month. And everybody, at various points attended some kind of jurisdictional meeting in this area that was climate related, like, city council meetings, department of planning department meetings, board of supervisors meetings. People have been very loyal and very good about showing up and speaking out in behalf of the climate. And let's see now, I think this winter in February, we did have a service, and we've been having services on Sunday once in a while, at least one or two every year, that is focused on climate. And so this past February, we had Andrea Tuttle, who had attended the COP26 conference in the fall of 2021. And so she came back with her impressions of the COP20. She went as an NGO and brought back what she took from that conference. And then we had a follow-up webinar with her that she presented the following month. And she just talked about legislative action and how important that was. And so we come into March and April, and especially this month, we have been really active. And April, we've had like 7 climate related programs of one kind or another, beginning with having David Loya from the Arcata Development Department talk about the Gateway Plan. We gave a short overview of that at our monthly April meeting. And then, let's see, we had a webinar on plastic pollution by Maggie Gaynor, and she's the co-founder of Zero Waste Humboldt. Then we had, we actually had a webinar earlier, a few weeks earlier on food waste too. That was presented by Maggie Gaynor and Julie Neander, who was also a longtime member of the fellowship and who was with the environmental department of the city of Arcata. And let's see, now we co-sponsored with 350 Humboldt a talk by Matthew Marshall, the ED of RCEA, on solar microgrids. And then the youth versus gov film screening. We had the one for the adults 2 weeks ago. And that's that film that's going to be shown again this Friday to the teens. And so this was a really interesting film, how 21 American youth back in 2015 filed a lawsuit against the US government that the US government has intentionally or actually didn't make any effort to stop climate change, and hence have jeopardized the future of our youth, jeopardized their right to life, liberty, and property. And this lawsuit has been going on for 7 years. And so these young plaintiffs are, you know, some of them are now in their early 20s. And I just attended a follow-up webinar this afternoon with the producer of that film and 2 of the plaintiffs, and they're in their 20s, and they spoke about what, you know, what led them to join this lawsuit from their background, and then where do they find hope? How, you know, how is it that, you know, where is it at this point? And right now, I guess the lawsuit is in limbo, but not completely. They're waiting for a ruling on the right to file a second complaint. So that's happening. But in the meantime, there are actions being taken by youth in all 50 states. And there are pending actions happening in 7 states right now. So that's what I learned this afternoon. And I just want to add too that, you know, on Earth Day, last Friday, we had a climate rally at the courthouse, and all of us were there with our signs and our banner, and we were standing there next to the anti-vaxxers. So it was interesting. And we're all in good spirits, and we had, you know, Rabbi Naomi Steinberg speak, and Peter was there. Thank you, Peter, for giving us moral support. So it was good to be with everybody. And then Saturday, well, our climate rally was our climate rally. I mean, our Earth Day weekend was based on the theme of fight for our future. And so what we're trying to do is this past weekend was to pressure Biden and in Congress to get on with the reconciliation budget so that we can pass the Build Back Better bill. And so on Saturday morning at the plaza, at the farmers market, we had a legislative table, and at the legislative table, we had postage paid stationery for people to write letters to Biden and to Congress to urge them to get on with this reconciliation process and Build Back Better. And also, there were other pieces of legislation, climate-related legislation information that was there.
Do I just have a brief question?
Yeah.
Just, I know there's so much that Climate Action Campaign has been doing.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell us when, if people want to get involved and come to a meeting, when they could join? I put the link from HUUF's website in the chat.
Okay, yeah, we have a monthly,
when the meeting is?
yeah, we have a monthly meeting on the second Sunday of every month at 1 o'clock. And we try to stick to 1 hour. Sometimes we don't make it, but more or less we stick to about an hour. So I think I think I've said enough. So coming up in May, I just want to say that coming up in May, we're going to be working on the climate action plan for the county. That's asking for input. The Nordic Aqua Farms is looking, there's another hearing for that one coming up. The Gateway Plan, that's the housing development in Arcata over in the Creamery district, is also on the table. So there's lots of work for us ahead.
Thank you so much, Sue. And thank you for all the efforts that you have underway. It's really, really tremendous work that you all are doing. Thank you. Yeah. I can see that the lovely Colleen Ruth Broderick has joined us. She's here as a representative from one of our small group ministries. We have a few things that we do, smaller groups, kind of satellite groups, if you will, that meet outside of Sunday services. One thing that we do is Soul Matters. Reverend Peter offers an open group via Zoom during the week on Wednesdays. He might have even done that today. I'm not sure. Maybe that happened last week. I don't remember. And there's an in-person drop-in group that happens as well on Saturdays at HUUF at 2:00 that all are welcome to. And then we also have, I believe they're meeting online right now, but Colleen will tell us a little bit more. We have Reflections, which, to be honest, is a mystery to me. I've known about this group for a while, but I'm not entirely sure what it looks like from the inside. So I'm excited that Colleen is here to share a little bit about what they offer. So Colleen Ruth Broderick, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I apologize for showing up on my phone. I was having computer trouble. But Reflections is a weekly meeting that we've been holding in Zoom over the past 2 years during the pandemic. But it was actually formed in 2014. And it was formed as a group that was interested in kind of the development of friendship and spirituality, and a place to express your opinions about what was going on in your own personal life. As a result, we have a deep connection with each other, and we have a facilitated discussion of a topic each week. Our topics range wildly from the deeply personal to such things as the plastic wars. And the experience itself, the personal experience, is an environment for respectful responses about both ourselves and our topic. So as a result of participating in the Reflections, the group has been very stable, but always open to newcomers, always really enjoying the thought that we might gain some more membership. A usual meeting is about 10 to 12 of us. And I thought, just for a quick look, I would tell you what our next topics are for our next weekly meetings. Our very next meeting is the impact of words. We've so far been exploring the whole notion of truthful reporting, news, and how the lack of truth and honesty has shown up so outrageously somewhat in our current lives about so many things. Our next topic after that was what it means to be a good citizen. All of us have described the sense that maybe our next generations are a little short on civics and information about government and citizenship. The other thing that was a spin-off of that is, how do we identify what is truth and how we have found it personally? And then, as a kind of a wind up to that line of topics, we were going to talk about our own habits and how we could use them to improve our lives in significant ways, both to improve our spirituality and our friendships, and reduce reduce the angst that we are feeling about a lot of our political dividedness. The environment is very warm and welcoming. And like I say, the reflections group has been meeting continuously since 2014. We do 2014. We do have hopes of coming back to have live meetings again when the board and fellowship feels that we're ready to open up the building again. If you have any questions at all about that, this, please feel free to send them to myself. And if you would just like to drop in, there's no problem. Just going to the events calendar and clicking on the reflections link. And like I say, we really are anxious to invite any of the newcomers to come and participate, as well as shape our program. That's about all I have to say about it, unless there are any questions. So in closing then, it's our hope and our intention that you'll be curious enough about our group to come take a peek at us. And like I say, we can be easily accessed through the HUUF website under events and happenings, and scroll down to the reflections group. We do meet on Thursday nights from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You peeled back the veil. It's no longer shrouded in mystery. We've all been invited in. Thank you. I want to just take a moment. I think we are coming to the end of our time here. So the last group that we wanted to invite you to get to know a little bit better. One thing we do have on the website is for people that are just kind of HUUF curious, I guess, if you will, is we just ask, we have a little drop down menu that says, what brought you here? What are your interests? And these are some of the common requests we get. I want to know about how to work with social action, climate action. I want to know how to connect with RE. And one thing we get, or with choir. And one thing we get a lot of requests for is they want to know more about the Ancient Forest Buddhist Sangha. So we are really, really grateful and happy to have Valerie Gazinski and Lynn Dugas with us tonight to share a little bit about the work of the Buddhist Sangha and what that experience is like and how you can get involved. Thank you.
Can you hear me? I can start. I'll tell you a little bit about the Ancient Forest Sangha of Humboldt Bay is the full name. It's a mindfulness meditation group here in Humboldt County in the Plum Village tradition of Vietnamese teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. We gather from 7 to 8:15, usually on the 2nd through the 4th Thursdays of the month in the main sanctuary of HUUF. Once a month, usually the first Thursday, we have a Dharma talk by our teacher, Alexa Singer-Tellis, and that's done via Zoom. On the 5th Thursday of the month, when there is a 5th Thursday, we try to have a potluck, although during COVID, they've mainly been outside and only in good weather. We have a really wonderful website, thanks to our member, Stasia. It has a lot of information. There's a calendar and resources that are helpful if you're new to meditation entirely. It's called ancientforestsangha.org. That's the URL, basically. We're holding a day-long day of mindfulness on June 18th, Saturday, which is 10 to 4 p.m. That will be a nourishing day of sitting and walking meditation, deep relaxation, a Dharma talk, and Dharma sharing. It's a great way to get to know what the Sangha is like, to meet some of the members, and to replenish yourself. So I hope if you're interested in the Sangha, that's a great way to get to know something about us. I'm a member of both HUUF and the Sangha, but you don't have to be a member of the fellowship to belong to the Sangha, and in fact, everyone is welcome. The Sangha has a long and intertwined history with the fellowship. It was started in at least the late 80s by Richard and Ginger Kossow, who are longtime fellowship members. They're also founding members of the Sangha in its current iteration, as I guess I am too. The initiator this time around was Peggy Ho, who had moved from her beloved Sangha in Berkeley and wanted to get one going here in Humboldt. One of our principles is a free and responsible search for meaning, truth and meaning. And when I was a member of the Program and Worship Committee, I realized that I had not really developed a spiritual practice. And my daughters had gone to college. I had already been both a teacher in the religious education program. The whole time they were here, I'd been on the religious education committee. And as a member of the Program and Worship, I really could see that that was something that was needing to be developed in myself. I was familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh. I really loved the one book I had been given of his. And I saw a notice in the newsletter about the fellowship, or about a Sangha developing, and that's how I got to know about it. The Sangha, I'm not sure what the term is, what its origin is, but it's considered one of the three jewels of Buddhism to which a person can look for refuge. The Sangha is the community of practice, practitioners actually, that support each other in the path of practice. The other two jewels are the Buddha or awakened one and the Dharma or the teachings. And I can speak about my own meditation practice. I think it has sustained me during this really very strange and unsettling time in our history. And it's helped me find joy and peace, or a way back to them when I find myself floundering, which is regularly. And I rely on the Sangha and on the people who are also committed to the practice to help me stay on that spiritual path. So it's of great value, and it's something that I'm very glad that we offer here to people at HUUF. So that's really all I have. Lynn, do you have anything to add to that? So,
Sure, thank you. We have been UU members for over 20 years, and this is the fourth different place where we've been part of the local congregation. So when we moved to this community a little over a year ago, it just was kind of our reflex, if you will, that, well, let's find the local UU congregation and continue the path we're already on. So we're, we have various different interests, and part of my experience so far with this congregation is it's sort of highlighted for me the memory that every local congregation is very different from every other one. The unique combination of people and the way each group chooses to organize itself. So we're back in learning mode, and how do things work around here, and who does what, and we've done various things in our other communities and aren't necessarily planning to do the same things here, but we don't know what the rest of that thought is. At least I don't.
Well, I have been fortunate to get connected with the landscaping crew.
Thank you, Valerie.
Val. And so
thank you.
when we weren't able to meet, when we first joined, there was no meetings at all except by Zoom. So the landscaping crew was a great way to actually be face to face with people on a personal level. And last week I was able to work with Amy on the special Sunday social action, and another opportunity to actually be with people. So it's been fortunate to have a couple of things like that. Along with Rick, I'm still.
Thank you. We're glad you're with us. Oh, we can't hear you though.
Oh,
There we go.
apologies. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Nice to see you again. And then Shelley, I have not had the pleasure of meeting you in person, but welcome, welcome.
Hi there. It's such a unique time to be looking at spiritual communities. I actually started subscribing to just your general email list, I think probably 2 years ago, right as everything shut down. I've participated in various spiritual communities around Humboldt County and have just known that a lot of the individuals who I admire and appreciate have either been a part of your community or have passed through at some point. So it certainly made me interested in learning more about everything that you do. And I really appreciate tonight. It was wonderful to hear from everyone and get a better understanding of the different programs and opportunities available. So I appreciate that in the midst of, or maybe as we're coming out of the craziness that we've been in. I've been back in Humboldt County since 2015. I went to Humboldt State for both undergraduate and graduate work many years ago, and then returned with my family. And I've worked in K-12 education I actually worked in K-12 education for 25 years. And then recently during the pandemic, transitioned to nonprofit work and now work for a national nonprofit organization, thanks to the realities of remote opportunities growing. So that also opens up a little more time. And again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your taking the time to put this together and share information.
Thanks for joining us. Nice to see you. So I want to invite us now. I know Peter is going to close us out, but I know Lynn has also brought her wonderful facilitation skills. And I see Montana's yellow digital hand there real quick before we drop into meditation. Montana.
I just had a quick question for the quote unquote newcomers, even though some of you aren't. If you found us through the website, and am I correct in thinking, Paul and Rick, you may have attended via Zoom before you even moved here to Humboldt, or am I thinking of somebody else? I'm just curious if any of you had been logging on to our Zoom services and know that they're all archives back through March of 2020 when we went to Zoom. And there's just some gems in there. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that.
When we were looking at moving here, I think we looked at some of those in the archive.
Yeah, before the Zoom.
I don't think we actually attended on Sunday in that way, just the archive.
More digital stuff in case you haven't had your fill of screen time in the last 2 years. Go check out our YouTube. There actually is some lovely stuff there. So I want to hand it over to Lynn, just to invite us into a moment just to reground and center and be together in silence. So thank you, Lynn. If you could guide us.
Oh, sure. I will invite a bell, and in our tradition, when we invite the bell, we take 3 in-breaths and 3 out-breaths and focus on our breathing, but also the sound of the bell. And then we'll do a short 2-minute guided meditation, and then I'll invite the bell to end the meditation. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Calm, smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. Present moment, wonderful moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you all for being here tonight. I was going to say a few words about kind of the broader sweep of UUism and it's a little bit about its history, but I want to respect people's time as well. And we're at our 8:15 moment. And just will say that I'll be a little more specific. If you have curiosities about UU history, there are many online resources, and including UU8.org, the Unitarian Universalist Association. You can find things under headings like our beliefs, our history, things like that. So if you want to kind of dive deeper into the origins of Unitarian Universalism in roughly the 1500s, you can do that. And then also just a couple of mentions of other things that didn't quite get mentioned fully tonight. Amy did mention Soul Matters, and if you're not familiar, that's the Reflections is weekly, but Soul Matters is a monthly group, and there's a program, materials that come out called Soul Matters, and each month has a different theme. Those are sometimes incorporated into services, but there are also these groups, including the open group that I lead on Zoom on Wednesday, the second Wednesday of each month. So the 11th, I believe it is this week, or this month rather, coming up month, May. And so I would love to see you there, Shelley or Doug, if you're just curious. It's at 7 to 8:30 p.m., not unlike tonight. And we just take up that topic, and there's materials we review together, and it's a nice way to connect with folks on a small group level. The other thing I will mention is that, it didn't really it may have kind of got mentioned in passing. Since January, we're doing an experiment of every fourth Sunday is a social action Sunday. So there's a Zoom service, but there's also, Amy's been wonderful in putting together connections with community partners or community groups that we are partnering with. And Paul mentioned that last week was Food for People. And just about 20 some of us went to Food for People's warehouse in McKinleyville and sorted food from the big bins into small boxes that could be transported and distributed. And it was really a lovely way to put our values into action. There's a saying in UU, let service be our prayer. And I thank Amy and all of the participants, but just to let you know again that that's an opportunity to be with people in a spiritual sort of loosely speaking manner, but also to do hands-on work in the community. So that's available. And there's a poetry group as well that isn't represented here tonight that meets. And you can, I think they might have information online, or you could just check the office about that. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, just hold the date if you can, or you're interested, or having a fellowship engagement opportunity on June 4th, Saturday, June 4th from 2 to 5 in the afternoon, called Tales of the Transcendent or Tales of the Transrational. I forget what I titled it now. But basically people are coming together and just talking about spiritual experience and sharing stories and asking questions about what does that really mean and what does that look like. And so that's happening. So there are, as people have said and indicated all throughout tonight, there's this fellowship offers so much to get involved in different ways, and I just hope you'll take advantage of that as you see fit. So in closing, I want to thank everyone again, and also just then to offer this benediction, which I often share on Sunday mornings at the end of services, which is that may love and wisdom be in your mind, and may love and courage be in your heart. May love and strength be in your hands. May the spirit of life be with you and work through you today and all your days. Blessed be, and amen. And with that, I will extinguish our chalice. Thank you again. And by the way, Shelley and or Doug, I'm always available too. You can email me at minister@huuf.org, and just, if you want to set up a conversation or anything at all, I'd be wonderful. I'd be honored to do that with you. So any other closing comments for anybody tonight? Burning desires that need to be shared? Okay, well, not hearing those, I thank you again and wish you a wonderful evening. Oh, and they're from Montana. What's the kitty's name? Paul?
Yes, Paul, this is Paul. He's our newest member, the feline group. It's a new committee we're going to start with just cats in the fellowship.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Yeah. All right. Good night, everyone, and thank you again.